Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in strong support
Please
of
proceed.
Governor's Message 583, Chris Yuen's nomination to the Board of Land and Natural Resources. Chris is a long-standing public service with decades of experience and knowledge that can continue to benefit the board, Hawaii Island, and the state. Those who know Chris and have served alongside him know him for his character, his integrity, his level-headedness, and his fair decision-making. We can see this highlighted in the testimony that was submitted by DLNR Chair Suzanne Case, Board Member Sam Ohugon III, Professor Jonathan Price, and among many others. Chris Yuen has received opposition from a number of individuals that are frustrated by his decisions regarding Kalo'i Gulch, the North Shore Wind Farm, and the East Maui water permits. As legislators, we know that we all must make difficult decisions. We research, we listen to the community, and we hope that whatever side of the issue we are on, it has the positive outcome that we intended. Either way you vote, there will likely be a group of people that will disagree with your decision. There is seldom a clear right or wrong answer. Yet, the committee report emphasizes again and again that Chris has come up on the wrong side of the vote. I respect my colleagues in doing their due diligence to make sure that the people's interests are acknowledged and represented. However, I also have concerns that the committee is holding Chris responsible for decisions that were made by a majority of the DLNR board members.
I've known the nominee for well over 30 years. I know him personally from within our community, and I feel it's my job to speak out, because I've heard a lot of things said that aren't true about him. Full disclosure, although I'm pretty sure it's not a conflict of interest, I do buy bananas and lychee from Chris's organic farm, and I'm a good friend of his wife and himself. One of the things I admire about Chris and his service on the board is that he's a very active board member. He's one of those board members that digs into the details and asks questions, asks the tough questions on both sides. It's easy to be a passive board member, and it's almost irresistible not to do that. But what we need are active board members who will dig into the details and will ask the tough questions. If you take 100 controversial votes, everyone's going to disagree on at least some of them, probably 5 or so, even if we totally agree. I've lost my connection to the chamber. I trust I'm still coming through.
Yes.
And I don't agree. Thank you, sir. I don't agree with all of his decisions. He's dead wrong on the most important issue in my community, which is geothermal. He's still willing to ignore the health impacts on hundreds of my neighbors. But in that regard, he's like almost everyone else, viewing the issue at a distance. So I don't agree with every one of his decisions. That's what happens when you make a lot of tough decisions. But I do want to take a minute to explain when I first met Chris Yuen, because it's telling. I was a member of a community called Wawa. It's out in as rural Puna as you can get. It's 4 miles down a dirt road. Only about 100 people live there. And one day at our community association, this guy comes to talk to us about trying to save a beach called Maklavena on the Kona side from development. He came to talk to us as a grassroots environmental activist. A guy whispered to me while I was at the meeting, do you know that this fellow has won a case before the United States Supreme Court? And I think that's a pretty rarefied atmosphere for attorneys. But this guy was out in the boondocks talking to 15 people about an environmental issue that was far from his home. And we were far from his home as well in another direction. So he was doing this volunteer work, the nuts and bolts work that is environmentalism, as a private citizen, after having this really remarkable career as a successful attorney. By the way, the fellow, he went to the Supreme Court to save my friend Jim Good's house from an illegal forfeiture. Thank you. I thank him for that.
Thank you. Do we have any further discussion?
I'm sorry, I'm almost done. There are many areas on the Big Island that are currently preserved because of Chris's efforts as a private citizen. And I don't know anyone else I can say that about. So when someone comes along and says, he used to be an environmentalist, but he's not anymore, well, I'm an environmentalist, and I recognize one when I see one. And I admire Chris for his decades of action and efforts, even though I don't always agree with it. Thank you.
Integrity, transparency, accountability, honor, fidelity, and trustworthiness. Those qualities mean a lot to me. And I know they mean a lot to this body because it means everything to the people of Hawaii, the people we serve and whose trust we cherish. Now, I have absolutely no doubt that the nominee had all of those qualities all the previous speakers spoke of before me. But that is not the nominee that came before the Waterland Committee, that has served on the BLNR for the last 6 years, and is a nominee before this body today. Why is the Hawaii Island seat on the Board of Land and Natural Resources so important? It's because preserving and sustaining in perpetuity the irreplaceable beauty of our state's natural resources for the benefit of my children and their children is our kuleana. It's our responsibility. Our vistas and landscapes, our majestic summits and streams, our lush waterfalls and coastlines, our sandy beaches and ocean resources, our rainforests and our pastures, our native birds and bats, and fish and oopu and hihivai and vekiu, and most of all, perhaps even best of all, our cultural resources and inheritance, the heart and the soul of these islands that gifted us, all of us, our unique identity in this world. Because of that, there is a profound responsibility that comes with this position. A nominee must possess compassion, open-mindedness, innovative ideas, due regard for the law, a healthy respect for our diverse communities and their opinions, however dissimilar from their own. And what I believe is the most important characteristic of a nominee: humility. The nominee is highly educated and is a dedicated individual who has volunteered his time over the last 6 years, 14 years total, to serve on the BLNR. Most people never get a chance to serve on the BLNR in their lifetimes. 14 years. We thank him for that. We appreciate his service. But today, it's time to move on. Now more than ever, we need a nominee. We deserve a nominee that understands how to bring people together and collectively work to address the management of our natural resources, who can understand how to administer these resources for the public, who respects this state's constitutional and statutory obligations. We need a nominee who can resolve conflicts. Unfortunately, on multiple occasions over the last 6 years, the nominee has not demonstrated this. For the many environmentalists, cultural practitioners, subsistence fishermen, farmers, limu gatherers, and yes, their legal advocates that 6 years ago strongly supported this nominee but do not support his nomination today. Why is that? Why is that? Well, the answer is obviously complex. But in the final analysis, these entities believe, as the subject matter chair, and the committee believe, that it is time for us to move on. And these people, they're not losers with malicious intent and ill-founded opinions undeserving of an audience. They're not threats to our democracy. These people simply care deeply, as they should, as we all should, about the natural and cultural environment we're leaving for the next generation. And if that's their agenda that they're guilty of, then we owe it to them to listen more closely, to listen more thoughtfully and more respectfully to what they have to say and teach us. Given that generations of residents will be affected by these decisions, we owe it to the public to fill the Board of Land and Natural Resources with people they trust. People who will listen with an open mind. People who look at decision-making as a process to be collaborative. There are many fair, reasonable, objective, and qualified individuals on Moku o Keawe, Hawaii Island, who should be given an opportunity to apply and be considered for this important position. This body must set a minimum standard that we adhere to and a vision that we must strive for. We have a difficult decision to make, but that's why we are here. We thank the nominee for his 14 years of service on the Board of Land and Natural Resources. We wish him and his family well. But colleagues, it is time to give someone else on Hawaii Island that opportunity. It's time to move on. And so I ask you to support my recommendation to not consent to Governor's message number 583. Mahalo, Mr. President.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Senator Baker? Aye. Senator Chang?
No.
Senator Dela Cruz?
Kanalua.
Senator English? Senator Favela? Senator Gabbard? Senator Ihara?
No.
Senator Inoue? Senator Kahele? Senator Kanuha? Senator Keith Agaran? Senator Keohua Kalule? Senator Kidani? Senator Kim? Senator Misalucha?
Aye.
Senator Moriwaki? Senator Nishihara? Senator Rhodes?
No.
Senator Riviere? Senator Ruderman?
Yes.
Senator Shimabukuro? Senator Taniguchi? Senator Thielen? Senator Wakai? Senator Dela Cruz?
Kanalua.
Mr. President,
Aye.
16 ayes, 9 noes.
Thank you. Christopher Yuen has been confirmed to the Board of Land and Natural Resources. Madam Clerk.